red pen that goes just for me to film the intro. Okay, that's a lot of blush. And I do have blush blindness, but that's too much. Okay. Hello everyone, here's your favorite artist, and in this video you're going to watch me use soft oil pastels to draw first a landscape and second a cake, and then I will be talking about kind of my story as an artist and all of that. So yeah, that's everything. I've just done my nails, so anyways, hope you enjoy it. Hi, so I wasn't sure what to talk about in this video. I kind of ran out of ideas and I'm only on the third video. But I think I'm gonna talk a little bit more about myself and about my journey as an artist, as I've done a first video talking about copying and live variation, and then a art tip video, but yeah, I didn't know what to make this video about, but I really wanted to do it while I'm still on the streak of making videos every week. I'm not sure if I've already mentioned some of these, but I started drawing very little when I was probably three. I mean, I don't remember, but ever since I remember, I've been drawing, and I've always really enjoyed it. And I remember asking my dad what profession was related to art or that I could do art with, and he said architect, being an architect. I didn't even know what an architect meant, like I didn't know what it was, but because it was related to art, I was like, okay, I will be an architect, and I didn't even know what it meant. Obviously I don't want to be an architect. And then I grew up, and at 12 years old I wanted to be a fashion designer because I really liked drawing girls with different outfits, and I really liked fashion. I started liking fashion, which is kind of funny because I always saw myself as more of a tomboy, but then now I really like fashion. I really like the color pink. I really like but pink was my first favorite color. I kept on changing it because I was like, no, it's too girly and I want to be cool, so I didn't say pink. But now it obviously is my favorite color, and I love dressing up, I love makeup. And I used to watch, when I was 12, I used to watch so many videos of makeup when I wasn't even wearing makeup. I started wearing makeup when I was 18 and even later than that, so it's interesting to think about it. But yeah, I became more of a girly girl growing up, but I've always kind of was. So I really liked fashion. I really liked drawing girls with different outfits, which is something I still like, but I don't do as much as I did it before. I had a completely different style, and it was cool because I kept that style throughout me doing all of I love these drawings, until I kind of changed it because I was like, no, this is not good, and I will change it. I think I'm going to put the pictures over the video that you're now watching, which I think is going to be the one where I'm using soft oil pastels, yes, and I'm doing a landscape, and then I'm going to do a cake. I love how the cake turned out. Obviously I love the landscape. I think with soft oil pastels they always look amazing, so yeah, I love it, and I really like using them. They're so much fun. They're like, you use them and you get so dirty, and it's so like raw and artistic, and I just love it. And they work so nice. They are like oil paint, because you can paint over it. Like, it's really cool. But I don't know how to explain it, and also I didn't want to really talk about this right now, so but yeah. So at 12 I really liked drawing girls in different outfits, and I wanted to be a fashion designer. But then I grew up even more, and I realized that I had to choose something more like serious, and not just, oh, I'll be a fashion designer because I like drawing girls in outfits. I also didn't really like making patterns and sewing or actually making clothes. I just like the idea of it. And at that point, I don't even think I was dressing up myself. Like, I started dressing up myself very late, but I love it. And I'm definitely the type of person that would take a risk and will wear something that might not be that, I mean, not crazy risks, but yeah, I do like to try new things and wear outfits that are a bit not normal, I guess. I grew out of that and I had to be a bit more realistic, I guess. And I wanted to be a psychologist because I was struggling with my mental health. But yeah, that didn't go through because you had to study sciences and it was getting really hard for me in like 11th grade. So I changed to letters. It's how it's called here, but to more, yeah, letters. I think it describes it the best, like literature and stuff like that, which I hate as well. But like I didn't like any of those because obviously I'm an artist. I love to make art, and that's the one thing that really speaks to me. But I chose the safe option. So at first I wanted to be a psychologist, and I probably could have been a psychologist even though I didn't study sciences. I think I could have entered university for psychology, but at that point I had a lot of limitations, and they made you think that like this exam is the most important exam in your life, and that you have to get in whatever you can get in, but you cannot get in many others. And obviously, like if you're applying for medicine, like yeah, you have to study very, very much, and you have to work really, really hard, and you have to get that grade. And if you don't get that grade, then you're not gonna get in, and you cannot go to other things. But other ones are not as harsh. Especially like what I ended up studying was not harsh at all. You could enter even if you study sciences, even if you didn't study whatever. So I ended up studying English. I went to more for like being a teacher, being an English teacher. But that's also hard because of the way that things are organized here. For you to be a teacher, it's a bit harder. So I also don't really want to be that anymore. And then like working with kids, I really appreciate teachers because it's not nice. It's hard. I'm working with kids right now, and it's really hard, and it's really admirable what teachers do. And obviously people think, oh, but they have so many holidays and these, and yeah, it's great because of that. At least they have that, because it's not an easy job, and I don't think they're appreciated as much as they should. But yeah, so I studied English, felt a bit out of place. I mean, I didn't feel like I fit in the whole university, especially because I was surrounded by people that, well, some people chose English because they really liked it, and they really were into like literature, Shakespeare, and they like to write and stuff like that. They love to read, and I love to read. Not so much anymore, but I love to read, and I'm okay with reading, but I'm not obsessed with it, and I haven't done it in a long time, which I kind of wish I was doing it more. But at the same time, no book has recently sparked, like no book has made me want to read more, but maybe I should. Anyways, so I chose that, and then I graduated this year, so I had to look for a job, and I looked for a job in teaching English, and kind of reality hit me that of what my future will probably look like, and I was not happy. But in the end, I found one. Well, it was more like the job found me, and I'm working as a art teacher, and I love it. I really like it. I'm working with kids, and that has really opened my eyes to how difficult it actually is. But yeah, it's so much fun, and I really enjoy it, and it's my dream job, and I absolutely love it. But I've talked more of like the part of like profession, but I kind of left out the part of drawing. So around when I was 13, 14, I kept on drawing and I drew all the time. Like, I've always drawn a lot. Before that, when I was younger, I would do this comic and I would draw in like a comic book with like stories, which, I mean, I don't think they were that good, but I was like, oh my goodness, this is so nice and I love it, and really cool stories. But yeah, I would draw that and it was imperfect. I would draw from my imagination, which was, I would say it's an issue because I feel like if I had drawn from reference for longer, I wouldn't be a lot better at drawing than I am now, but I would just imagine something, and then like how you imagine something, it's not necessarily how it really is. So that's why I didn't improve as quickly, or I feel like I didn't improve as quickly. Because yeah, I would draw these comics about whatever and not really use any reference. I would just imagine it and then draw it. But it was so much fun. And after that, I started keeping sketchbooks more from like when I was 14. And yeah, I would draw whatever I felt like. I would switch up my style. At this time, I had a style that was very like just drawing not even semi-realistic, but yeah, the eyes weren't stylized, the nose wasn't stylized, pretty much anything, nothing was stylized. And I also, because of academics and school, I focused more on school than in drawing, and that is something that I kind of regret. I wish I had not cared so much about grades and getting good grades, which in the end, did they really matter? Absolutely not. And I wish I had spent more time drawing, but at that time I only had like my only resources, so as to say, were drawing with a pencil and color pencils. I didn't have much, which it's kind of like a spoiler, we will get to it. But yeah, at that point, like, yeah, I wish I had spent much more time. But it was fine because I was like reading, I was watching some series, I was doing a lot. But yeah, I kind of wish I had spent way more time practicing art especially instead of caring so much about grades and getting like the perfect straight A's, which in the end they really they don't matter at all, especially if you don't want to study, or if you don't want to get further and further away with like your studies. They don't really matter at all. So yeah, or unless it's something that it's for you and that it matters for you because it's gonna get you where you want to go, then they are not really worth it, because they didn't help me get anywhere further. It's just, yeah, I spent so much trying to get like the best grades when I could have not stressed so much. Especially it stressed me so much, and I had so much like anxiety and panic attacks because of grades, and it's so stupid, which I wish I had spent all that time drawing or having more fun. But anyways, so that was then. And then when I was 15, I started liking BTS. And when I started liking BTS, I started to draw them, and realistically. And at first I was really bad. But the good thing about being really bad at something at first is that you are kind of blinded by the level that you're at. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting so much better, and this is good, and this is when they weren't. Which doesn't happen that much to me now. Now I'm like, this is not that good. This is not good. This is not pretty. This did not go well. While before, even like it had to go really bad for me to be like, this is bad. But I still was quite harsh on my art still. So I started drawing realistically BTS. If you scroll down my Instagram, you will see that face. Even though I posted it a bit later than when I drew it. But yeah, it was fun, and I learned a lot, and I improved a lot, because I was starting to focus and learn from observation and from reality, which improves your art. But I still didn't know certain things, and I feel like I really became an artist this past year, like these past years, where I'm like, now I'm way better at improving, not even just improving, because I can be that, I can see where I'm like, this is what I should practice and this is what I should do and improve. And before I couldn't even see that. I couldn't even tell what I was doing wrong, or like I didn't have any technique. I think the technique was what was faulty. I just drew and I didn't have no technique, or I knew certain things, but I was bored with theory. I just wanted to draw. Now I'm way better at seeing what the technique and what I have to do in order to draw it well, which is really nice. So yeah, I drew a lot of BTS, and I started developing more of my own style. I think it was when I was about like 17, 18 that I really wanted to have my own style. And I discovered pretty soon that I really like Disney's art style, especially Jim Kim, I think it's his name. Sorry if you can hear background noise. It's raining and there's cars and you probably can hear it, but I love his style. I really liked his style, and I was like, that's kind of the style that I want. So I started practicing it, and this time I actually started practicing it correctly, or how I would deem it correct. And I started copying Disney characters, trying to get them to look like that, like as in like Frozen. I really like the style of Frozen, even though Frozen, it's okay. But I really like the style. I started practicing that. I started getting a lot better. I started drawing a lot more better drawings, but they were still, for a long time, they were still very much like just drawing what I was drawing. And I would draw, I had one, I don't think it's on my Instagram anymore, but I had one where I drew all the members of NCT, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good because they really look like members or whatever. And now I look back and it's like, no, and I didn't even know how to do it. I didn't even know how to really capture each one of them. But anyways, after that, it was also the beginning. So drawing realistically BTS, getting better, trying to find my own style, art style. I discovered every medium of art. I started with like acrylics. Before, I couldn't really use all these things because I was really young and my mom wouldn't let me, because obviously as a young, even when I started and even now, I'm pretty much very messy and I would get everything messy and dirty. So I was so happy that I could start using so many of these art supplies that I had never used. I just used pencils and pens and color pencils, and now I was using acrylics. Acrylics was one of the first that I tried. I'm now kind of a hater of acrylics. I don't like acrylics. I mean, they're fine, but not really. I think acrylic pens are the best thing ever. I think they are really, really cool. But an acrylic paint, I don't really like that much anymore, to be honest. And I did a lot of paintings, and then I also got into watercolor, because I got watercolor, that was the first, because I also started buying so much of, this was when I was like 18, 19, I started buying so many products, so many like watercolors and stuff like that, which in the beginning they weren't that good quality, but I got a set of watercolors for my birthday, and that's when I really started with watercolor, and I started doing things, and it was really hard actually starting out watercolor without following any instructions or without watching tutorials, or because that's how I am and I don't watch tutorials and I don't follow instructions. It was hard to get into them because it was hard to know how to work them, and I just love it. Every art supply is so unique. Even like colored pencils compared to other colored pencils, depending on how they work, they're also so unique, and learning how to use them and learning how they work best and how you can use like different tricks to get it right and to get it cool. Like even soft oil pastels, which is the video that you're watching right now. Sometimes some people I see that they smudge it to get the result. You can get the result by adding thick layers. stuff like that, that it makes it so interesting and so nice. So at first watercolor was really hard for me, but then I did start not watching tutorials, but I started watching this channel of this guy that draws, I think it's Draw with Siba, if I'm not wrong. He just posts the whole process, and I would just copy the whole process, and you learn so much just by doing that, because you see, oh, now he's applying a layer of water, and now he's making little dots, and now he's giving it more shape. And I've learned so much with how to use watercolor through watching his videos and following his videos. So great advice right there, you could do that. And then I also started learning gouache. Gouache was quite quickly after watercolor, so I kind of started learning gouache and watercolor at the same time. But they're very different. They're very different mediums. They're similar, but very different in the way that you work them. And every time, because I just love doing everything. And I know that isn't the best when you're trying to like post your art or whatever, because people like for people to have one thing and that one thing being their thing. And here I am being like, well, I love gouache and I love watercolor and I love this and I love that. But I started doing gouache at the same time as watercolor, which wasn't necessarily the best because they are quite different. I love gouache because it has the best from watercolor, and then it has also the best from acrylics. And this was around when I was 20, and I fell in love with gouache. I love gouache. Gouache is probably one of my favorites, after probably colored pencils, because colored pencils you can create so much with them, but gouache, it's so much fun, and I just really enjoy painting. So I started doing with gouache, and I started doing portraits, which improved my art even more, because I was doing, and these portraits, even though at the beginning they weren't that good, they were still very good, and I really like it. And I think I really like it because with gouache, if you make a mistake, you can very easily paint over it or use it to like make it right, even though you've made a mistake. When it comes to pencil, it's like you have to erase it, you have to color over it, and then at some point it's hard to erase and to do it again, while with gouache it's so much easier. So I got way better, and then I got better at mixing up colors and finding out what colors make watercolors and how to get them to work. Obviously it's very different because it dries different, and I don't think it's perfect. Like, it doesn't look perfect like oil painting, but I really like the look of it. I really like the raw, that you can see the strokes, you can see that it's not completely perfect. I really like that look. I started also improving in everything, like pencil, pen, color pens, soft oil pastels, what else? Color Caran d'Ache, which I also love. Also mixed media of starting with watercolor, then colored pencils or crayons. So yeah, I really like all of them now, and it's so much fun. And that's kind of my story with my art. I don't know if I explained it all correctly. Oh, very important, also digital art. I started digital art when I was 17, but I never really liked it because it just does not feel the same. Like, it has a thing to it, like digital art is cool in its own way, but it's just not the same as having like the materials on your desk and the paper and drawing or painting. It's just not the same. I like it, but I kind of don't. What I really like about digital painting is that it looks so good in like pictures. It looks so good digitally. It looks very clean and very aesthetically pleasing, but I just love physical art, even though it does not look as good in pictures. That is one of the things that is like, my paintings, when you look at them in real life, they're so cool. And it happens with all paintings, actually. When you go to an actual like museum and look at the paintings in real life, it's like, oh my goodness, it's so like, or like when you see landscapes in real life, it's like overwhelmingly beautiful, but then when you see them in pictures, it's like, oh, it's okay, or yeah, it's so beautiful, but then like in real life, even more beautiful. And I feel like that's what happens with my traditional art, that it looks way better in real life. I have to find a way to do digital art in a way that I like it, and I think what I like about digital art is the digital art that I have not been doing, which I don't like the result of, which is like this perfect, amazing digital art. I think that's not the way that I like it. I think I like more when it's digital but it looks more rough. I have some, like, if I can, I think it's pizza something, if I can find them I will put them on screen so you can see what I mean. When it's like, it's digital art, it looks great, but it's not perfect. And I think that's what really messes up with my digital art, that I try to make it perfect and not textured or whatever, and I just don't like it because of that. So yeah, that's basically my story for now about my art. Right now I'm trying to improve everything, really. I'm still doing everything that I love, all the art mediums that I love. So yeah, I'm doing wash, I'm doing color pencils, I'm doing watercolor. Actually, lately I've been really liking watercolor, but I also like soft oil pastel now that I've done it. And yeah, I just want to get good and better at all of them. So yeah, and then also like pencil sketches and stuff like that. Animation I have tried, but it's not my favorite thing, to be fair. To be honest, I don't really like animating because I think it's so much work, and I don't know, it just doesn't vibe with me, you know? Well, I think that's basically it. That I just want to improve at everything, and I feel like now I'm at a skill level where I can do that, and it's so much fun. And for me, art is always gonna be, I always want to come back to art in like, it's fun, and I love doing it, and I just love doing it. And I would do it every day, and I do it every day, and for the rest of my life, and I love it. And yeah, that's literally it. I'm working a bit more on like watercolor and stuff like that right now, but whatever, all of them, I love it. Give it to me. So yeah, I think that's all. This might be my first quite long video. So that was it. Hope you really enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I need it to be taller because this, oh, I'm filming. This angle, it's not it. I have to take that off.